Hello, today I will be discussing the topic of whether or not global warming is actually having negative effects on polar bears and other Arctic and polar wildlife. There have been photos and videos of thin, starving polar bears in the wild struggling to get by. There have been experiments conducted to study the state of polar bears and whether or not climate change has affected them. And they prove that the changes in temperature are rapidly affecting the health of polar bears. However, people have thought that the studies were incorrect and that the polar bears could have not been healthy in the first place. Today I'm going to talk about what is happening and why. Today we'll get fully in depth about the situation and what's happening to the Arctic and its wildlife after our sponsor of the day. Today's podcast is sponsored by Electric Go-Go Cars. Electric Go-Go Cars manufactures gas-free electric cars that are completely eco-friendly and don't emit any harsh gases, or any less harsh ones either. They're trying to transform transportation one car at a time. Check them out on their website at www.gogocars.com to see how you can invest into their great business today. So now that that's out of the way, let's get into the polar bear problem. There have been pictures and videos taken of skinny, malnourished polar bears taken in their wild habitat. In these pictures, the bears are almost scary, and the fact that you can basically see their bones. I would advise looking up pictures of skinny polar bears. It's surprising by what you find, and I included a picture of it in my blog post, but it's just sad about how malnourished and what little fat they have on their body, if any. So it's been extremely hard for polar bears to find food because they can't find as many seal breathing holes on the surface of the ice as they could before. Because of global warming, the surface area of the polar ice caps and Antarctica itself has been on a severe decline, meaning that there is less of a total landmass, and that ocean levels have also gotten higher. I think that my guest can explain that more. Let's see what Henry has to say. Yeah, ocean levels have been rising and at such a rapid rate that it's almost scary. Because of all the melting ice, that means that there is a higher amount of water in the ocean than before. The rapid rising of the ocean also causes there to be less land in the Arctic and other places like small island countries. And why is there even more ocean water now than ever? Why is ice melting so quickly now? Because of today's fossil fuel emissions, now more than ever, our world is fueled by fossil fuels. With the oil industry growing, there's more and more gases emitted from not only the oil itself, but also from the drilling of the oil. Also, things like cars emit these gases as well. And with cars being used by millions of people every day, they are also a major contributor to global warming, along with many other modern innovations that run on dangerous gases and fossil fuels. Back to polar bears. Since the ice is melting, there's less surface area on ice caps and ice continents. Less surface area means that there is less space for seals to make their breathing holes, and so there are few of them. Seals can breathe from the surface of the ocean and don't need to make as many holes since the landmass is less vast. This leads to polar bears having to walk for tens to hundreds of miles at a time in order to find food. And since they expend so much energy and lose calories extremely fast, when they do find a hole, they don't get enough food because it's only one seal's breathing hole. You only get one seal. So it's not enough for them to be walking for miles and then only having a little bit of food. They have to live off of their fat reserves, which don't last very long, as you can see from the pictures. They end up losing their fat and then starving to death. People have argued this, saying that these are just unhealthy polar bears that have been studied, and that global warming has had nothing to do with it because in the past, this hasn't been a major effect. And so people have argued about it, and debates have been caused, but whether or not this was a serious problem. And so multiple studies were done. It's in detail on the blog post, and took perfectly healthy polar bears from the wild and put trackers on them. They captured the bears only 14 days after releasing them, and they were far less healthy than before. They had weighed less and had chemical imbalances when their urine and blood tests were taken. and one bear had even walked over 140 miles. The tests proved that they were indeed starving because of global warming. So, the polar bear problem is definitely real, and it's just the tip of the iceberg in terms of what problems global warming could cause. For more information, you can read my blog post on the topic. That's all for today. Goodbye.